When you're standing in the shop aisle, the biggest question is always, is this the guitar that will actually fit into my routine, or am I just buying a pretty piece of wood? I've spent a good chunk of the last month really digging into what a semi-acoustic like the Taylor T5z Classic Rosewood actually does in a lived-in environment, talking to players who jam at home, gigging in coffee houses, and even a few who use it as a backup on stage. The goal here isn't to fling a glossy spec sheet at you, but to figure out whether the T5z will give you the tone, flexibility, and reliability you need without pulling a surprise out of the bag later. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the T5z sits in a niche that's a little hard to pin down. It's a 6-string acoustic electric with a hollow body, a rosewood top, and 2 humbucking pickups. In plain language, this means you get an instrument that can sit comfortably on a coffee shop mic, but also plug straight into a PA system without a lot of extra gear. That dual nature is what draws in folks who want to hop between intimate acoustic sets and full-band electric gigs. The real test, though, is how well it handles those transitions in real-world scenarios. If you're the type of player who records at home a lot, you'll appreciate the acoustic body Sens system that Taylor has integrated. In my listening sessions, the pickup felt close to a mic'd acoustic, clear, warm, and with enough sparkle that you don't have to constantly tweak EQ. One of the guitars I talked to mentioned that the T5z's onboard preamp let them capture a decent acoustic vibe in a bedroom recording session without having to pull a microphone. That said, it isn't a magic bullet. In a louder rehearsal space, the signal will still need some EQ shaping, especially if you're trying to blend with a drum kit or electric bass. In other words, the T5z gives you a solid foundation, but it doesn't eliminate the need for a little post-processing. Now, about the body itself, the Sapele back and sides combined with a rosewood top give the guitar a balanced resonance. Most players who have experience with fully acoustic hollowbodies describe a big, open sound that's slightly more focused than a dreadnought. In the T5z, that translates to a tone that feels full at lower volumes but can still push out enough mids when you crank the volume knob on the preamp. If you're a folk-oriented songwriter who likes fingerpicking, you'll find the response to be sweet and articulate, with enough sustain to let chords ring without them becoming muddy. There are a couple of practical trade-offs worth flagging. Because the T5z has a hollow body, it's more susceptible to feedback at high gain settings. I tried it through a small PA in a venue that was roughly the size of a local bar, and as soon as the volume hit about 7 out of 10, a faint howl started to appear. Most players I talked to say they manage this by either keeping the gain low, using a feedback suppressor pedal, or positioning the tuner away from the mic. So, if you routinely play at high volumes or in a full-band rock context, you might find yourself fighting feedback more often than you'd like. Another point that often trips up new owners is the neck profile. Taylor's shaded edge-burst humbuckers sit on a neck that's a tad narrower than a typical electric body guitar. For someone with larger hands or who prefers a chunky feel, the T5z can feel a bit cramped after a while. The good news is the neck's shape is fairly standard for acoustic players, so if you've already played a traditional acoustic, the transition should be smooth. But I've heard a few guitarists who mainly play electric say they needed a short adjustment period to get comfortable with the narrower grip. Who should actually buy this instrument? If you're a songwriter who wants a versatile instrument that can swing from bedroom acoustics to a modest stage setup, the T5z fits that bill nicely. Its tonal flexibility, combined with the built-in preamp, means you can move from a solo acoustic set to a small band without swapping guitars. It's also a solid option for educators who need a reliable instrument that will hold up to the wear and tear of a classroom, because the hollow body tends to be more forgiving on a pick-rich playstyle. On the flip side, if you're looking for a hard rock, high-gain workhorse, you might be better served by a solid-body electric with a dedicated amp. The T5z's susceptibility to feedback, as mentioned earlier, can become a frustrating limitation in that context. Likewise, if you're a player who demands a massive, booming low end for styles like bluegrass flat picking, you may find the Sapele body a tad too restrained compared to a full-size acoustic dreadnought. One of the subtler strengths of the T5z is how it handles tuning stability. The integrated bridge and tuner system seems to hold its pitch well even after